want to?
In relation to the double homicide in Saline County, the Slater Police Department received a shots fired call just before 2 a.m. In the 800 block of Park Place. The male victim has been identified as Ryan Sanders, 35. He was found at that location in the 800 block of Park Place, was transported to the hospital where he died. About 8 a.m., I was notified that there was a deceased subject in a residence at 30687 Nickel, which is outside in the county. This victim has been identified as Bonnie Charlene Hupp, 83, and it appears that Mrs. Hupp also died from a gunshot wound. We believe that these two incidents are related. Our agency is working with both Slater Police and the Missouri Highway Patrol Division of Drug and Crime Control. We're continuing to do interviews and follow-up leads at this time. We'll continue to keep media outlets advised of information as it develops.
What is the relationship between the two deceased?
Rather complicated. Mrs. Hupp was the grandmother-in-law of Mr. Sanders.
Do we have a motive right now?
No, we do not.
Do we have suspect or suspects?
We're continuing to work on developing suspect information.
Do you think it's just one as of right now, or could there be more than one?
Anything's possible at this point.
Sheriff,
Sir.
we heard an unconfirmed report of a possible third death or possibly a suicide in connection with this. Is there any?
We have no information to substantiate that.
There was also homicides reported outside Slater city limits. Is that related to this as well?
The Mrs. Hupp's homicide was outside the city
Is that
limits.
one? Okay.
Yes, that was the one that occurred outside the city limits.
Okay, just wanted to, sure.
I heard that Sanders was 33. Is he in fact 35?
According to our records, yes, he is.
Okay. I mean, having this happen, I heard that it's been a long time since there's been a murder here. I mean, it's a double homicide now. How is the community dealing with this? I mean, everyone's been talking about it. Like people I've seen, they've been like, oh yeah, this is crazy.
Right.
Kind of talk about that a little bit.
It doesn't happen out in the county very often. Marshall will have a homicide from time to time, but it does not happen in the county very often, particularly in the smaller jurisdictions. So it does get people kind of excited when something like that happens.
The Slater PD, they said in his 25 years of being on the force, he hasn't dealt with a murder until now in Slater.
The last murder I knew of in Slater occurred sometime in the maybe mid-80s, so it's not something that happens very often.
With this suspect that you guys are looking for, suspect or suspects, how close do you feel like you are to capturing this person or persons?
Actually, I have been in the office fielding calls since about 1 o'clock this afternoon, so we still have investigators out conducting interviews and following up leads, and we'll be meeting here shortly and putting together information, and we'll see where we are at that time.
Has Slater PD helping out also?
Absolutely. We're all three working together, us, Slater PD, and the Highway Patrol.
The Slater PD chief told me that the small community really helps people talk. People want to help out law enforcement. How has that helped you guys in this investigation when something happens at 2 and 8 a.m. in Slater? You don't really have all of your guys out there, so how does that help?
Right. The community is usually, particularly in serious incidents, the community is really good about calling in things or talking to us out on the street while we do investigations. They will stop you and tell you things, so that it's great to be in a small community that will do that, and that's what our county community is like.
Sheriff, Nickel Road, is that south of Slater?
That is actually north of Slater.
North of Slater.
Nickel begins where Central Street ends.
Are these people kind of well known in the community?
Yes, yes, I think so.
Do you know when the bodies were recovered? Did it take a little bit of time to get the bodies out of there, or was it immediately after they?
It always takes a little while. Mr. Sanders was transported to the hospital and died at the hospital. It was a little while before, we removed Ms. Hupp's body simply because we wanted to make sure that we had all of our evidence gathered and things like that.
So you'd probably say it was around the afternoon time?
It may have been, I don't know, I was not there.
Okay.
Sheriff,
So-
do you know or believe if the two incidents happened relatively close together, or was one the
We
time difference?
don't know at this time. That's something that the investigators will be able to talk about when they get back in.
But these do seem to be related.
Yes, ma'am, we believe that they are related.
But it's no good, or as of right now, you don't have any idea.
No, ma'am.
Anything else that you guys want to ask? Anything that you want to add about this? Is it gonna be a lengthy investigation? I know it's kind of hard to tell, investigations are different all the time.
Right, and you just simply don't know while you still have an investigation ongoing. Sometimes one lead will lead into another and another and another, and it'll lengthen an investigation quite a bit, and sometimes you get everything together and things just fall into place, so it's hard to tell, everyone's different.
Sure.
So,
Would you like the standard sort of media thing put out? If anyone with information, please contact?
absolutely, absolutely
Are,
appreciate it.
are you guys a lead agency, or is it highway patrol? Should I give them sheriff's number here? or-
Yes, yes,
And on the 5511 line?
yes, sir.
Go ahead and just say kind of what, if people have any questions.
Yeah, anybody with any information, we'd encourage them to contact our department, and we will disseminate those to the other two agencies. You can contact us at 660-886-5511.
I think you touched on it a little earlier, but this is still an active investigation, so how are you guys actively pursuing this suspect and or suspects?
We have investigators in the field that are continuing to follow leads and conduct interviews.
Was there any witnesses that's heard the gunshots or saw anything?
It's my understanding that the initial call on Park Place was called in by a neighbor.
And what about the second one? Do you know?
No, that's not how the second one occurred.
How many people, were there other people in the house at both locations, or was Ryan Sanders just the one that was living at the Park Place, and then the other one, was it just the victim that was living there?
As far as I know, they both live alone.
Do you know if the suspect or suspects are still in the area?
I have no idea.
Should people be worried in the community?
I think any time that something like this happens, you should be cautious. I don't think it's a reason to be particularly frightened, but just watch your surroundings.
Would you call this an isolated incident?
Yes, probably.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Is it Nickel Avenue?
I believe that's
Okay.
correct.
I thought so. I've been calling it that.